Opposition parties are united, telling the ANC that it turns a blind eye on holding the president and his executive accountable. The opposition parties cite the Nkandla saga as just one example where Parliament failed in its oversight job.
On some days, it's actually difficult to determine who is accountable to who. And that's why Minister Mshlobo, for instance, felt nothing when his agency deployed a signal jammer in this House in some bizarre Orwellian attempt to somehow control the flow of thoughts, views and opinions of members of this House and the media. It's why Minister Nkandla felt no shame whatsoever when he tried to hoodwink this House into believing that a swimming pool was some elaborate firefighting mechanism.
Parliament is where they come to defend the rising kleptocracy in their ranks. It is where they come to protect those who steal our people's resources. You have made everything you control simply toothless because you rule through your bellies.
There is need to unpack the Nkandla ConCourt judgment. Up to now, we still have not had the opportunity to really look into that judgment and to analyze how it affects the functioning of this Parliament.
More robust methods of shielding the executive from accounting can be seen when members of the ruling party act collectively as a voting bloc to obstruct any motion calling for executive accountability by the president.
This was recently demonstrated when ANC majority absolved president from any responsibility in spite of overwhelming evidence suggesting otherwise on the Nkandla saga.
Now, the fact of the matter is, the credibility of Parliament has been lost in that process. And when the Constitutional Court made that ruling, it was the chief whip of the ANC who came along and said, we now accept, yes, we as Parliament, we were wrong. No, you were wrong. We were right. Because we said to you all along and you didn't listen.
The ACDP views these allegations very seriously and calls for Minister Mshlobo to be suspended pending an investigation and for Mr. Guang to be found and arrested. We want to know how a minister responsible for state security and intelligence could have failed to know that his Chinese friend was involved in illegal rhino horn trafficking.
We will have a situation where the decisions about the functions of Parliament are being taken elsewhere, in Luthuli House in this case.
Our democratic institutions are now on intensive care. Unfortunately, our stomach, lack of will and cowardice have reduced most honorable members in this Parliament to yes men and praise singers of the executive.
But the ANC came out in defense of the institution.
It has since put in place remedies toward that end in line with the Constitutional Court judgment and is making the necessary amendments in the relevant legislation.
The party says it also does not want the legislature to be governed through the courts as this encroaches on the separation of powers. Bulilani Philip, SABC News, Parliament.
All right, there you go. That's the end of the news here.